This is my presentation, Teach Like a Champion by Lorena Grundy. It's for Intro Teaching and Assessment. It's my presentation. Today's date is June 23rd, 2019, but I began my work on my presentation on June 21st. Teach Like a Champion. This is my introduction and purpose. There are many things that one could take away from the text, Teach Like a Champion 2.0, but this presentation has been designed to identify how I, as an educator, can conduct a more purposeful and conducive classroom and learning environment for my students. The purpose of this presentation is to identify what my key learnings have been, how the information has impacted my thinking, and what information I will take with me and implement as a teacher. Okay, Teach Like a Champion. From the first clip, standardize the format. So this is my key learnings. The key learnings to this segment are that as an educator, I must ensure that students are receiving the actual learning I have intended and set for them. This means that I must circulate or move about the room as students are working and collect the information I need to ensure that students are learning and growing. I can also assist students as needed while they work and assist students in making corrections to their work. Students can also continue working independently so that I may continue to move about the room to collect more information as needed. And this is referenced in the text, Teach Like a Champion, on page 41. Teach Like a Champion, standardize the format, continued. This information will impact my thinking with the point that with standardizing the format, it gives me an opportunity as an educator to monitor what my students are learning and how they are progressing throughout the teaching of the lessons. I think this needs to be done continuously each time students are within the classroom learning. Teach Like a Champion, standardize the format, continued. And this is what I will take with me. What I will take with me is that while my students are learning, I may also assist students as needed. And if I see that they need further assistance before they may move on. It is also important to me that I implement standardizing the format until it has become a positive and natural habit within my classroom so that it is to the benefit of my students and what they need. This is my personal and professional reflection of standardize the format. My personal reflection is that as a person, it is critical that I implement what I learn and always stay abreast for the sake of learning and growing as an educator, but most of all as an individual and as my own person. My professional reflection is that as an educator, the more I teach and learn, the more I must become a creature of habit, one who is constantly and consistently observing my students and keeping their learning at the forefront of the teaching. This needs to become a habit to the point that it becomes automatic for me to do each day, which in turn will help with daily student progress. Moving on to the next clip, the second clip, which was affirmative checking. And this is the key learnings that I have for affirmative checking. The key learnings to this segment is that an educator must always check in with students to affirm that they are on track with a lesson and that they understand the information that is being presented. This is referenced in the text. Teach Like a Champion, page 53. Affirmative checking is designed to gauge student mastery before independent work begins. Teach Like a Champion, affirmative checking. And this is how the information impacted my thinking. This information impacts my thinking because it reminds me of how important it is to check with my students and make sure they are understanding whatever the lesson is I am teaching. It is crucial that my students learn everything they need to. Affirmative checking, and this is what I will take with me. I will take with me the information that if I haven't used affirmative checking, then I have done a great disservice for my students, which cannot happen for the sake of my students and their futures. Teach Like a Champion, affirmative checking, my personal and professional reflection. My personal reflection is that affirmative checking helps me personally so that I am also checking within myself that I am growing as I need to as a person so that I can ultimately be who I need to be as an all-around educator. My personal reflection is that as the teacher, I must always remember that assessing what students know and what they have learned helps keep students and myself on track and at a pace during the process of teaching a lesson. As an educator, it is best to gather information on the student's understanding of what is being taught and then promptly utilize the information that has been gathered. And then lastly, teach like a champion, no opt-out. And this is my key learnings from no opt-out. The key learnings from this segment is that students must learn to give full and correct answers when they attempt at answering questions. Students should not be allowed to opt out of giving correct and thorough answers. Rather, they should be challenged to answer questions with full understanding. In the text, Teach Like a Champion, page 90, it states that no opt-out helps ensure that all students, especially reluctant ones, take responsibility for learning. Teach like a champion, no opt-out, and this is how the information has impacted my thinking. This information has impacted my learning because I never want to be a crutch for my students by giving them too many answers or not giving students enough time to answer or not challenging students to completely answer what has been asked. This is very important with no opt-out. Teach like a champion, no opt-out, what I will take with me. What I will take with me is to not opt out of no opt out, but instead challenge myself and my students to be better and grow through the process of no opt out. When called upon, if students are unsure about their answers, they will freeze up or not complete their answer. Therefore, no opt out challenges them to see their answers through. And lastly, this is Teach Like a Champion, no opt-out, my personal and professional reflection. My personal reflection to no opt-out is that it actually requires me to hold myself accountable personally for bringing myself and my students to a higher level and standard of thinking and learning. My personal reflection is that this requires students to actually reveal what they have learned about a lesson. During no opt-out, an educator must seek to gain full learning from students. Therefore, students must find an answer or a way to figure out an answer without being allowed to not properly answer. And this has been my presentation for Intro, Teaching, and Assessment. These are my references. Thank you.